Hi, my name is Vyacheslav Bulanikov. Hi, my name is Sergei Volkov, and I create and test flight models for planes. My name is Kirill Yudintsev. We're about to answer some questions from players which we collected on the official game forums and on social networks. Some bugs in flight models have been in the game for a very long time, more than a year. What priorities are you putting on these bugs, and why have some not been solved already? As regards the bugs that were reported a year or nearly a year ago, which players have been talking about on the forums and on social networks for a long time, and calling us all kinds of names over, it's worth understanding one thing. These bugs, as a rule, are corrected along with a total adjustment of the aircraft. For example, adjusting its engine or aerodynamics. But all this happens together. Try to be patient, and these bugs will be corrected soon. In fact, we don't have too many airplanes left to adjust. Mainly just bombers, which are most affected by bugs, which will also be corrected. But not all the bugs relate to flight models. They can also be related to collision models and damage models. Basically, recently, these haven't been issues of the airplanes themselves, but specific episodes of the game we're working on and are going to fix. But we're keeping a very attentive eye on all the bugs that come up. When can we expect to see US tanks? And how many tanks from this nation can we expect in the beginning? We hope to introduce American vehicles closer to the end of the autumn. There'll be around 30 models, light, medium, and heavy tanks, and self-propelled anti-aircraft cannons. Most likely, SPGs and tank destroyers will be introduced later in a separate branch. Can you tell us more about multiple turrets, their principles, and the advantages and disadvantages they give to players? Which tanks, aside from the T-35, will we see with this system? Will all these vehicles be premium, or will there be standard examples too? In our conception, multiple turrets mean having full control over all the tank's weapons. By default, all the tank's weaponry is targeted like a bomber's turrets, centralized to the point the player points the mouse. Using separate keys, you can select any of the weapons on the vehicle and fire them with separate keys. Apart from the T-35, there'll be both premium and standard tanks with this setup, such as the American M3 and the French B1 bis. To a certain extent, all our vehicles will be multiple turret, in the sense that when using flak cannons, double-barreled guns, and rear machine guns, they'll be managed in much the same way, i.e., with the ability to fire them all at once or to manage each barrel separately. What do you see as the future of combined arms? Will there be a return to CBT when a battle contained only airplanes or tanks, and hence the balance of the number of planes and tanks was in the team selection? Or will the system of reviving a player in another type of vehicle be used on a permanent basis? The idea of a CBT combined arms, when a player could join a battle only in a plane or a tank, seems pretty interesting and simple in terms of creating balanced games. But nonetheless, it has a serious limitation in the fact that when all the players pick only a plane or only a tank, the queue time for the players who choose the most popular vehicle becomes very long. For example, when there are a lot of planes in the queue, but few tanks, a battle can't begin until the necessary amount of certain vehicles has been reached on both sides for a properly balanced game. And the battle just doesn't start for a very long time, or starts only for some people. For this reason, although the system looks simple, it works only if we have an infinite number of players in the queue. In reality, a system of choosing vehicles during the battle seems more balanced and allows for more interesting battles. When will the naval element of War Thunder start to be developed? Is it already underway? We started working on the naval fleet over a year ago. We conducted a range of experiments, and right now it's on the back burner until we finish tank air battles. Can you confirm the introduction of half-tracks, armored cars, and other wheeled vehicles into the game? Can you tell us what will be the first models to be introduced in the game? We already have such a vehicle in the game, the German anti-aircraft vehicle on a half-tracked carrier chassis. As for other vehicles, we're planning a branch of U.S. artillery. It'll contain several examples of self-propelled guns mounted on an M3 half-track. There'll also be German artillery, also on half-track vehicles. So we're going to have a lot of those vehicles. There are also going to be purely wheeled vehicles, German, Soviet, American, and British armored cars, and armored personnel carriers. Do you have a specific library of reference works or multiple documents? Do you have checks in place on the reliability of the data? Yes, we have a constantly growing library. It contains everything we can get our hands on, both what we've ordered from archives and what's already freely available online. It includes both paper and electronic books. There are a lot of them. We check the vehicle parameters at several stages. First our internal testers, and I myself, then the alpha testers, and then our players. Since there are so many parameters to take into account, mistakes happen, of course, but we try to reduce them as much as possible. Can you confirm Italian tech tree, and what about plans for any other new nation? The Italian tech tree has been in the game for a while now. It's just that it's in the German forces. The Italian tree is being expanded, although not very actively right now. It's possible that the Italian tech tree won't be separated into a specific country, but will be combined with other European branches, i.e. with the Swedish branch. Cross-platforming has obviously been a great success now that we have finally seen a robust patching across the two main areas. What plans do you have on enlarging this base? What other platforms do you have in the pipeline? Right now, we have versions for the PC, PS4, and Mac, which are updated and developed together. The next platform, I think, will be Linux. We plan for a long time to release the game on iOS and Android. Not the full version, a version for arcade battles with a smaller number of players. But a cross-platform game between iOS and PC, although technically very possible, won't be doable in practice, since it's impossible to update the game simultaneously due to Apple's limitations. It's the same with Android. We'd have to wait for Apple updates. So, if Mobile War Thunder does happen, it'll only happen as a separate project without cross-platforming with PC. Will more field modifications be available as upgrades or different armaments for planes and tanks in the game? Like the P-39 20mm Schwach field modifications or the T-34 add-on armor? We're planning to introduce planes that were rearmed with Soviet weaponry. For example, the Hurricane armed with Schwachs. Maybe there'll be equivalent tank models, such as the Matilda, which was rearmed with Soviet guns. As for field modifications, or modernization carried out by crews, we're planning a separate branch of tank modifications, which will allow you to hang various articles off your tank for extra protection. Tracks, sandbags, wood, and so on. Are we close to allowing the player base to be rewarded for custom content included in the game? We're very close to this. In fact, we already did it. On the live War Thunder platform, War Thunder's central community, you can upload your own content. And if it gets included in the game, you'll receive a share of the revenue generated by your content. So, now it's all in your hands. You can make money with War Thunder. A couple of months ago, you released a map called Battle Stalingrad. It covered a very large portion of land, including the city itself, with dynamic objectives generating automatically whether they were completed or not, indicating that the goal of this game mode was to create a very long battle that could last for hours. The Battle Stalingrad Map is a kind of experiment. We'll see how the players take it, how they'll play on it, and then we'll come to some conclusions. The map, above all, is for Simulator Battles mode, where the session lasts a long time, for people who have time to play and look at battles as an episode of a war rather than as a skirmish. Keep giving us your questions, and we'll see you in future broadcasts.